Thoughts are gone, thoughts don't care. Ghosts in my head, thoughts that tear. F941239, branded on my file before I was 5 years clear. They all said the same shit. Better not tell, kid, it'll get way worse in here. Even the real kids whispering threats while their parents steer. Born in a folder, no crib, just a case number and a hearing date. Pills crushed in my juice, respiratory waves turning toddlers into a court case. F943 anxiety, F90.0 separation ink, they used to label me. Now those same codes turned into calibers, letters load the AR-15. 5156 for the panic attacks, not for the snakes, 223 for the mess they made. Leave me alone. Mrs. Perfect Christian home, still feel your husband's hands on my neck. Leave me alone, night shift worker, keys rattling while you're proud of her. Leave me alone, caseworker with the crocodile tears. You got paid while I starved through it all. Starved through it all. We the invisibles, aged out the system. No feelings left, just facts and mathematics. Hypervigilant, heart rate flat, rifle fluent, pistol fully automatic. Grown now, pulling up, packing. Only lesson we kept is right from wrong. Now wrong, getting corrected. 30-round hymns in a real dark song. You built a monster, setting trauma, now the monster got drums and a mask. Every face got a name, every name got an address, every address getting dead. Ever one fresh meat, still crying for mama, think reunification real. Level 2, bounce like trash, learning roles in every house they make you feel. Level 3, chameleon bag, never unpacked, visible just enough to eat. Level gray master, read a lie in the blink, route around rules in the street. Level 5, invisible state, own ghost file too thick for any worker to read. Sleeping fragments, exits mapped, made it out so low they know you a different breed. We the invisibles, aged out the system, no feelings left, just facts and mathematics. Hypervigilant, heart rate flat, rifle fluent, pistol fully automatic. Grown now, pulling up, packing. Only lesson we kept is right from wrong. Now wrong, getting corrected. 30-round hymns in a real dark song. F94 through a 5 pop 6, F93 to a full auto switch, F94 to reactive, that's why the AR twitch. 9 millis for the snakes that smile in your face, 223s for the nights they said this hurts me more, while they finish the chase. Every code they wrote, every caliber, every lie became around. Every better not tell turned into a reason. We outside right now. Seen kids get walked out the back at 3 a.m. Staff pockets, fat, no sound. One phone call, file closed, another invisible. Never found. They pray we don't de-lock forever or read the barrel in despair. But the ones who survive remember every smell, every room, every stare. Thoughts are gone, thoughts aren't care. Ghost in my head, thoughts that tear.
All right, everybody. There's Candace. There she is right here. Hey, it's the CPS Punisher here. There's Candace. She's adjusting herself. Guys, we have an announcement that we're going to make. Let me turn the music down here. Um, Before we get into the show here, um, Candace comes back. We formed a new group. Um, this group has a little bit of a different mission. I'm gonna let Candace get in here, and Candace, you can go ahead and make the announcement about this, and then we'll bring we'll bring the others in.
Okay. Well, for y'all who don't know me, I'm Candace Edwards from the state of Alabama up here in New York. What we're bringing forth today is Sacred Lavisa.
Say it
Basically,
again.
Sacred Lavisa
Sacred Lamisa. Yes.
means warrior. I think it's a women warrior, actually. I think, which kind of odd because you're not a woman. I think it's either women and warrior or just warrior. It might just might mean warrior.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll just say that. Right. Good. Perfect.
Basically, it's to help our advocates to empower our advocates to help the families. Everybody else is, they've got their things about trying to help to get the children's home or whatever. We have, a lot of attorneys don't even want to touch our cases or anything like that. So therefore, our own advocates are having to learn the laws, and it takes a lot of monies and things like that to. I'm not even gonna say it takes a lot of money to learn the laws, but it does take money for our advocates to be able to travel to and from helping the parents that are dealing with their CPS cases. So
Mm-hmm.
what we're trying to bring forth is something a little bit different than what everybody else is doing, and is to empower our advocates. So we're, wanting to put some programs and things into place to help them,
Right.
along with some other things that, we're wanting to do, like research and things like that, investigational research,
Right.
and
It's
bringing
good.
the
It's gonna
equipment
be.
in.
It's different than anything else that's out there. Right.
Right, absolutely.
All right. Well, who do we got backstage, Candace? Who do we got?
We've got Jess.
Dottie.
Who? Oh, that must be Angie. Angie
Yeah.
Frainer and Jessica Durham.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
and also another thing we brought into this that ain't nobody else gonna have is gonna be transparency.
oh,
Complete
transparency.
full
That's huge.
transparency.
All right. Well, Dottie, what do you got to say?
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm hanging in there.
That's all we can do.
Right? Just taking it
In
day
this
by
fight.
day.
Right. In this fight, that's all you can do is hang in there because so many different angry, demonic things come at you.
Huh.
You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
and it's about time that you guys come up, that someone's come up with this system to help others.
Where's Jess at? This is Jessica's project. She's the one that needs to speak
Yeah,
on it.
Jess, where are you?
Yeah.
Come back,
Well,
Amber.
it's between me and Jess, to be honest with you, because I was talking to Jess. We started this out just based off of investigations, because me and her have literally been paying out of our own pockets for um the background check. For the longest time, she had been paying for it out of her pocket by herself. Then when I had gotten some little money in, I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and pay some and try to help out. I'll cover what you can't right now. So, we kind of been throwing it back and forth at each other. And then she was like, you know what? She's like, that's a really good idea. She's like, everybody's been trying to help the parents, get their children home, but nobody ever actually thinks about our advocates.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot that goes into it. Some of the issues may be, some of our advocates may be actually homeless or don't have transportation. So, we're trying to get out there and see if we can help with some of these issues that we've got going on top of doing investigations, on top of, I know Angie had spoken earlier how she was wanting to help the families get reunited, having a
Mhm.
project towards that. I know one of my projects that I've been talking about for the longest, I couldn't abolish CPS, but I damn sure could make sure, we can instill some services to take some of their authorities, I guess you can say. And you got to tear it down all the way from the ground.
Damn
Okay.
right.
In order for something to be torn down, Although we all know that unfortunately there is some type of system that needs to come into play because unfortunately our community just won't come in together versus um, everybody coming together. Something's got to come into place, and on that. That's a whole different thing. I'm not even with that. I'm not even focused on the child. I'm focused on the family unit as a whole, to make the family unit better. What can we do to make that family unit better to make sure something like this never happens again?
Yep.
And I know Jessica, she was wanting to do a think tank, as far as
Well, getting a new system of something where parents, like people that are going through divorce, that they don't drag their kids through there, that they go outside of that system to deal with that for family court. Like I will have always talked about the justice circles. I don't know if you've heard of the justice circles. They have them for criminal court, and it's basically a circle where everybody comes around your community, anybody that has a hand in whatever that family case is. Like, I mean, it could be your doctor that shows up and is in the circle, supporting whatever their role is, right? Your neighbors, your parents, cause it could be anybody, but they're there, and everybody, gets their turn to speak, like a peace circle, like the peace pipe. But they have this in the justice system already, and it helps.
Right. What's the
Like
main goal of these justice circles? Like, what's the end? What is the end? What's the
well,
end goal?
they're only doing it on the criminal side right now. So say you got, I don't know, I don't know, whatever your crime is, instead of just throwing you into a cell and like just, doing that, you'll find them more in states where there's like Indian reservations. They tend to do them more, but they're circles, and they come in and they talk through these things. They talk through it with the community. It could be anybody local in your community, anybody that has some kind of like what am I trying to think? What's the word I'm looking for? I just drew a blank.
some type of a say so, maybe.
Not to say so, but that it will benefit. I mean, like just people in your community, because if you're better in your community is better, right?
Right, right.
Anybody with a stake in it that has some kind of stake in whatever is going on, but they already do it for criminals, and then they go through them, and they have these different kind of circles, and instead of putting them through probation and stuff, you know what I mean?
Right,
You never heard of
right.
these?
Instead of putting him on probation, maybe have.
Instead of like going on probation, they put them into this circle. It's called justice circle, and they go through the justice circle, and it's kind of like, I don't know, counseling in a way. You know what I mean? Because everybody gets in the circle, and everybody gets to speak. Everybody gets to, have their turn and work through this stuff. And they have several different circles.
That's cool. So, how do you think that would take and apply to this situation in the family court system?
Well, I think if we had like family circles, like they do in the justice system, I think that people that have, some kind of I can't think of the word I'm looking for, in your family, you know what I mean? What's the word I'm looking for, babe? Anyway,
Right. Whatever that word is.
I can't think
It'll
of it.
fly out and come back.
So-
Yeah. Don't worry. It's good.
If like say you're the kids' teacher, and you have a part in their life, and that you play a role, that you would be in this circle,
Yeah.
and
Well,
everybody gets to speak.
Basically,
Instead-
support system.
Right. Instead of, how they tell you now, don't speak about your case to the kid. They, that they're real big about that in family court. Like, you can't don't talk to the kid about your case and what's going on in the case. Well, I don't agree with that, especially if they're older, because this is affecting their lives. This isn't just your life that's being affected. Their lives are being affected. You're making major choices and decisions that you can't even speak with them about. I don't agree with that, and this would be something that would stop that, because kids, this is traumatic for kids when they go through the family court. or divorce, but their voices are never heard, or even
Right.
CPS. Okay, so say if CPS was taking kids and you had these circles instead of these fucking, what are those things they have you sign? I don't know. I haven't really
Safety
dealt.
plan.
Yeah, instead of having that, you have a circle where you all come into a circle and figure out who made these allegations. How about that person be in the circle? And we all get to speak, because if you're going to make allegations and you're going to call in or something, you should be able to come into a circle and speak whatever it is you've already said, right? I don't think hiding those people is right.
No, I agree with you 100% on that. I do believe that.
So, like, if you were going through CPS, they had circles where you could fix the problem instead of taking kids away from people and being part of the problem. You know what I mean? How else do you get through stuff but communication?
Right. You can't at all. And we need to have allies in this fight, because there's so many people that are out there trying to dirty up this division and dirty up what's really going on. I'm not sure why either myself, but they are, and they are out there, and they are trying to aim people towards failure.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, how much difference would it be? Like, it would be the transparency thing, Candace, like you're saying. How much difference would it be if the GAL, the judge, the opposing attorney, your attorney are all in a circle, and instead of like having, court on the four papers, you each get a chance to speak and actually listen, right? And hear each other instead of playing the games that they play. You wouldn't have those games, for one.
Right.
I don't think families need to be in the court system.
I agree with you 100%. Oh my God, I've been saying that for the longest time. Like, they need to take family court out, because that, excuse the language, and I apologize for any young person that's watching, that is bullshit. The families do not belong in the courts. That is literally for our community. And that was the whole purpose of what I've been trying to work on for the past 4 years with me and Darren alone. Like, I've sat here, I've tossed this thing back and forth to him, and we've sat down multiple nights and sat there and talked about it and went through it. His thing was always he was going to abolish, and I was going to bring something in place of.
Right.
So honestly, when it comes to the family business, that's within the community. I mean, really, it's behind your walls, but
Well, that's part of what the circle would be. Okay, because think about how tribes and things started. Everybody came to the center, and like you'd have the town circle. Like, it's always been around in a circle when you come together, right? So it would be bringing your community. That's what I was saying. Like, these circles could be anybody that in your community that has some kind of part to do with it, that would be affected by it, that wants to help or see somebody be healthier. You know what I mean? It could be anybody in this circle, anybody you feel that should be there, instead of like, closing courts and not letting people in. So there's no transparency, because whatever their excuse is to shut the courtrooms down, right? Because they do that.
Yeah.
right.
Let's see. Tammy says put the judges in prison. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm down with that.
I'm down with them being hung. Let's be real. Let's go back to the days. Treason, right?
Let's charge all these bastards with treason.
Right. Hang these motherfuckers. Because at the end of the day, that's what's needed. If we don't start hanging them, they're not going to know what's like. Everybody, if we start, I'm telling you right now, if we started hanging people in the middle of our circles or whatever, and like town square, for example, and actually hang them, I bet you them judges would run scared. I bet you them attorneys would run scared.
Yeah. Or they would operate. They would definitely operate.
If people knew the law a little bit better, then they would be a little bit more nervous too. But people don't understand what's going on in family courts. They're talking one language, and you're talking something completely different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not even speaking the same language to each other.
They would definitely operate on a different level of, throwing in punishments and taking away kids and all of that stuff, if they indeed had something held over their head. No doubt about it. We talked about this earlier. Why not start forcing drug testing on these people? Why not start pushing for drug tests on the judges and drug tests on the the caseworkers and all of that. Like, is that something that this group would be pushing a fight towards? Something like,
I
let's get some
mean,
standards on these. Let's put some standards on these caseworkers and these judges and stuff.
to be honest with you, Darren, if you remember correctly, if you want to look at the provisions list, that was one of the things that I had put in there. And to be honest with you, I feel like they, as far as the social workers go, they all need to be in school. Not only do they need to be in school when they come out, I feel like they should to take a test and at least make 90% on that test, since you're going to be in the business of taking people's children away from their home, right?
Right,
So you don't pass your test, guess what? You got to retake that test. And while you're quote unquote suspended, we're not going to say suspended, but you're definitely not going to have no pay. And you definitely ain't going to be involved with no family if you can't pass that test.
right,
These drug tests, like you was saying, absolutely. One of the things as far as like when transparency come into play, I was talking about, see if we can, develop some type of camera company that would work with us and actually provide jobs for America. Each state have their own camera company, and they. And this is honestly something we could actually get in with the police, since they have to have these cams too. Now, you put your cameras in the foster homes,
Well, I
not
don't
in the
think anybody should
bathroom.
be in the business of taking kids. Like,
Yeah,
I just don't think that should be a thing, dude. If you really sat down and looked at it without the lawyers and the CPS and all these people running in your ear and playing this game on you and like programming you to think that there's all this freaking child abuse, there's not that much child abuse going on in this fucking
no,
country, dude.
absolutely
It's
not.
them feeding
Absolutely
us
not.
that. It's
But
them us
unfortunately,
feeding it into our head, taking our kids because it's a profit for them. There's not
well,
that many abused kids in this country.
Angie, Angie,
There
this
really
is
isn't.
listen, and this is like kind of I've talked to Darren, and I've talked to several other people about this. The reason why the system is needed the way that it is because you have situations. For example, you got kids, right? You move to a complete state just to get a brand new start. Like, you don't move with no friends, you don't move with no family. You're starting your roots somewhere new. To bring a bad story, sorry, but just to get my point across, you and your fiance or your husband, y'all get in a car accident, y'all die. There's that child that is at school who has no family, no friends, nowhere to go. What are you going to do with that child? You're not going to
That's a
just put
different
that child out in the
situation.
road.
I'm talking about CPS and them talking about we had to take them because they're being abused, or this whole if in the future you may do this, right? They do that a lot too. Oh, this you may do this because this happened in the past. They do a lot of that. It's a lot of games that they
right.
play.
Yeah, no, they do. They play a lot of games, absolutely. But I mean, that was like as far as the transparency goes. Um, as far as the cameras, like I know like a lot of people are gonna have issues with that. But the way I feel about it, people who are fostering children, I mean it's a business, right? Let's be real. They got a business.
It is a
Yep.
So
business. Adoption's a business.
exactly. So we put cameras in Walmart, we put cameras in McDonald's. Why can't we put cameras in these foster homes? When it comes to the CPS workers, have them
Yep.
on them like little body cams.
Well, if we
Have
just
them
went
have them.
down to the fact that there's not that much abuse in our country, we wouldn't need all these foster homes. We wouldn't be worried about foster cameras because kids would be at home and with their families where they belong and where where they came into the world at. Because most of these kids that are in foster care aren't even supposed to be there.
No,
Correct.
they're not supposed to be
So
there.
if we just looked at that problem and nipped that in the bud, we wouldn't even have a problem.
Right. We have like three. I think they said that there's 3% actual abuse in this country towards children. I think it's a very very low number.
It is
Um,
extremely low. Tell me how many people do you know beating the shit out of their kids? I don't
I
know
don't know one of
anybody.
them. Yeah, right. I don't know anyone either.
Take a poll. How many people do you know that beat the shit out of your? I know that some kids, there are some satanic people out here doing some shit, but that's a different ballpark. I'm talking about just your American
Right.
family with their kids, raising, not the satanic cult doing crazy shit. I'm just talking about
Right.
just your average
Mom
American
and
raising
dad.
their
Right.
kid.
Mom and dad.
They're not
beating
abusing
kids.
their people aren't
Right.
abusing their kids. It's not in a, we're That's not who we are as humans,
Right.
right? We're that's not us. That like it don't make sense to have all this abuse going on. It's not going on.
No, nope. It doesn't make sense at all. You're absolutely right about that. It's just absolute asinine bullshit.
Especially now when you get a award for just showing up. How much abuse do you think is going on in fucking people's houses when they're all like, "Oh, he showed up, give him an award." You don't even have to fucking win. Like, you think those people are going home and beating the shit out of their kids? I don't think so. Like,
Right.
it don't make
No,
sense.
but
to me.
I mean, you do have parents that, and I guess this is, part of one of the fights that I've not personally had, but I've seen, dealing with other families that, have been on drugs, right? And they've made some really bad decisions and really bad mistakes. And, children do get neglected, unfortunately. So, I mean, there's got to be things that's put in place, but that, like you was speaking on earlier, that's more or less the support system. There's no
Who
reason for children to be taken away for that. That's not abuse.
who was it? You that was saying, Darren, that like 93% of the population is like functioning addicts or something.
Yeah. So basically, 74% of the
If
population
they're
has some
functioning
sort of
addicts,
right.
how many of them are really beating their kids? Like, I don't
None of
Right.
really
them.
think all this abuse is
Absolutely
going
none of
on.
them.
I don't believe it's that there's that much abuse going on in America.
No,
I
absolutely
really
not.
don't.
Absolutely not. And the numbers show that. I mean, you say that I think the sample number was like 7.3 million calls or whatever that went to CPS last year. Out of that 7.3 million calls, like 500 or 600,000 of them were investigated. Out of that 600,000, like 300,000 were founded. And then from there, it's down, to whatever numbers that they want to make it down to. And of course, if you made it through those cuts, like most of us do, when we get put in that category, we're going to get TPR'd. They have to do that because they need to keep their funding. They need to keep that money coming. So you're shit out of luck if you get caught up in that system and you get cycled through and they think that they got a case against you, you're SOL. So you're going to lose your kid, guaranteed, because they need to keep those numbers up. But just take 7.3 million people got investigated, and out of that, only 500,000 or so they even found were some degree of maybe some abuse or something on a preponderance amount of evidence, a hearsay based assumption. So how many of those were even wrong? We all know that because that's us right here, all of us that lost our kids based on bullshit. You know what I mean? So even that, they're wrong. So I mean, how much is there? I mean, 7 million. Our population is 300 and something million. Seven
I don't
million.
even think there's that many people.
That's like
in
two
it. I
point
think
something
numbers
percent
get
of the
called
population is
wrong.
already sampled.
I think there's a lot less people in the world than they say there is.
I don't know. They say something. What is it? 8 billion people, 7 billion, something like that.
Some ridiculous number. Yeah.
I think there's a lot less people in the world than they say.
Well, they got to go along with that agenda of us overpopulating. Take us
Right,
all
so
out.
they can kill us off some more.
Yeah, that's it. You got that right.
In fear, yeah.
Absolutely.
No fear, guys. No fear.
But I'm telling you, it's just, you're absolutely right about the drug addicts. Not the drug addicts, but I hate to say people like that. I hate to use that term. But in the people using drugs, like I said to Candace earlier, it's a crapshoot. They know that they've got domestic violence, they've got drug use, they've got poverty, and then they've got homeschoolers, right? So one out of those four categories, one of us are going to hit on that, So they know that they can invade your privacy, break into your home, and say, "Hey, you're a drug addict." Oh no, you're not a drug addict. Oh, there's some domestic violence here. Well, no domestic
They can
violence.
say anything.
Poverty, we got you. We got you now. We got you on poverty. Or they got you because you're a homeschooler. You know what I mean? So now we've got you. We've got you locked in, and now it doesn't matter why they came into your home. Now you're playing by their rules, their system, their everything. The reason why is eliminated as soon as they step foot in your house. It doesn't matter why anymore. It just matters that you're there, and now you got to fight an uphill battle that is a losing one. A very low percentage of people make it out. They say that it's like 49% or 51% reunification. They're full of shit because I haven't met more
No,
than
there
three
is
people.
that don't happen.
Right, exactly. I've met like 3 people that I don't even think they were reunified. They actually just beat their case outright, and then they got their kids back.
They never tried to do that for me. They never tried to reunify me and my daughter. Never did they try.
Right. No, it's not. But here's
They
the thing.
don't. They don't do it. And
Right.
what's
No,
so
they
crazy is
didn't.
they have the funds within. I believe it's the Title IV funding, actually, where they're supposed to help the families fund the families for them to be reunified, but they
That's
don't
it.
use that money.
That funding for Title IV is only supposed to be used in circumstances that the reunification is the goal. So we all know that they just run us down the gamut. I mean, I know like 2 or 3 people maybe that have gotten their kids less than the 1 year mark. You know what I mean? And that's because they had balls and they kicked the doors in and were like, "Hey, give me my goddamn kids back," pretty much. And they did that. But otherwise, we're all running that 15 to 22 month gamut of letting them be able to get to TPR, which is the federal date, the federal time that they allot you to say, okay, we can TPR you at 15 out of 22 months. We don't have to go any further. So they meet the guidelines of the funding through Title IV because reunification has been the goal. They hit the 15-month period where the federal guidelines say, okay, now you can TPR without any cause because they've been in the care for so much. So now they release that. Now they've gotten their funding for 15 out of 22 months. Now they can go ahead and TPR, and during the adoption and TPR phases and all that shit, now they can get the next level of Title IV funds, which is funding them for the adoption, finding the permanency, and all of that. They got this game nicked. They know what they're doing. This is all a big freaking game. And we need more advocates out there that are paying attention to the paperwork and to the money trail, because when you can stop that money train, then we can stop the kids being taken. So the advocates need to stop trying to play their game of being like, oh, we're gonna do the parenting classes and we got to do this and do that, and be like, hey, I want an audit of what money is being spent on where and why and what and how does this goal that you guys, or this trail that you're
Why do you have to take a parenting class to see your damn kid, dude? There is no parenting book. I've never seen a book that's taught anybody how to be a fucking parent.
Right. What cracks me
No
up,
book.
the people that are teaching the parenting classes aren't even parents half the time. You know what I mean? So how does that make sense?
But there's not a
that's
book
just
on
like
being a
social
parent, dude.
workers.
Nobody knows
Right,
better
right.
than you when it comes to your own
Parenting,
child.
you just learn. You just be a parent. You just
But nobody knows better about your kid than you do.
Right. Yep.
Nobody can tell you how to be a parent or how to be a better parent.
I agree, 1,000%. 1,000%.
That's ridiculous.
Because you do what? You become a parent. You aren't a parent. You become a parent. You know what I mean?
There's
To
no
become means
class
that
for it.
you have to go through the steps yourself and learn, and you graduate up to being a parent. You become a parent. You weren't a parent when your kid was a baby. You didn't even know how to change a diaper. You didn't know how to burp a baby. You didn't know how to, you know what I mean? You learn these things as you go. It's a learn as you go concept.
The whole parenting class thing, that's just another money pit, another way of making money.
Right.
And what they do, how they get you caught into those are just administrative orders. That's not law. There's no law that says you have to take a parenting class to be able to get divorced. Like, that's
Right.
administrative order, and it's bullshit. You don't.
Yep.
If people would start standing up and fighting and be like, I'm not doing that. That's not law. That's not lawful. If we're gonna be in court, if you're gonna bring my family into court, let's deal with the law, the real law. I don't care if this is family court. We're not making up law as we go, because there was they didn't care about my rights in family court at all.
Well, you didn't have any because you were fighting in a court that doesn't care about the Constitution. They don't care about
They're
laws.
supposed to be a court. So if we're gonna be a court, let's be a court of law. Let's not bullshit this.
Right. Well, that's where I'm going to have to say that's where I agree with Lewis Ewing. Bring it on the criminal sector. Put fresh charges. And I'm pretty sure that Candace and I once found a place that it said that you can't be TPR'd unless there's actual charges put upon you. Like, they should actually be a criminal charge against you. And then they
not only that, like, the parents are supposed to have jury trials. Like, these parents literally have no crimes against them over their children, yet they're taking the children away.
And
What I don't understand is, as a parent, you wouldn't take your kid and go somewhere where you lost complete control over your child, and then when you are seeing what's going on, that this isn't good for your kid, and you can back out, like, oh, this doesn't work for me, I'm out of here. There's no option like that in family court, and it really should be, because family court didn't work well for me. It wasn't something that was working well for my family. It tore my family apart, right? So why couldn't I at some point say, no, I don't want to do this anymore with you guys? There's no, like, you just get caught up in there.
They don't offer anything like that.
But what I'm saying is, as a parent, where else would you go and put your kid in that situation? Like, these are things I didn't know before I got caught up in that shit. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Of course.
Like, if I would have known that, I never would have answered when I got served with paper. I never would have answered those papers. I never would have agreed to any of it. You know what I mean? I never would have stepped foot
Yeah.
in court. You know what I mean? Like, I never in the first place would have went in there if I would have known what I know now.
Right, because most of the times you don't think you have anything to fear. You know, once they come on in, come look at my house, come go ahead. I'm a great parent. You know, my daughter loves me. My this, that, this. Look, they got 2 houses in my situation. We had 2 freaking houses. You know, we have toys both places, and like this kid had more than, and my daughter had more than anything any kid could have ever asked for. But that didn't matter to them because once they got you, they've got you. What happened before doesn't matter anymore. Now you're stuck in there like Derek from Fostering Reality calls it, you get involved in the beast, and the beast is what determines now what happens to you. Nothing else matters anymore. You know, like, it's ridiculous. But just because you did those first steps of things, allowing them to come into your home, agreeing to a safety plan, thinking that you were the parent of the year, you know, you had nothing to hide. Those things that you did put you in that situation. You know what I mean? Like, and you're like, fuck. You know, like, and you thought you were doing the right thing because you didn't have anything to hide to begin with. So why wouldn't you say these? Why wouldn't you allow these things? You know, it doesn't make any sense to the values of people and us as Americans and parents and all of this. It makes perfect sense to be like, let me show you that I'm a good parent. It makes perfect sense to do what you did. You know, I'll sign a safety plan. Sure as hell. Why not? There's nothing you didn't realize that you were going to lose when you signed that safety plan. You were like, there's going to be no problems. 30 days, no problem at all. But once you get put underneath that eyeglass, that scrutiny of things and everything else, you know, now all of a sudden the dishes in the sink are a problem. And now we're going to go into 12 months of a permanency plan because you had dishes in your sink. You're like, wait a minute, what? Where did this come from? Well, you signed the safety plan saying that there wouldn't be any, you know, this or that or this. Well, you're like, shit. So this is what I'm saying.
The
Advocates,
system shouldn't even be. You know what I mean? Like like that shouldn't even be. Who are they to come in and say anything? Like, why do we allow someone to come into our home and tell us what's wrong with it?
right?
Because they got a phone call from Susie down the street because Susie didn't like the way I yelled at my kid. That's
Yeah.
my kid. I'm gonna yell at my kid if I want to yell at my kid.
That's right.
Like, whatever. But Susie didn't like it, so Susie calls, and now it don't make sense, dude. Who came up with this whole system? It's like the system just doesn't make sense to me.
No, it makes no sense to anybody. I mean, that's why
I'll tell you who come up with that one. Hillary Clinton.
well, I mean, before her, but
She ate babies. Why are we even involved in anything that she had something to do with?
right.
Like, why would we
how
want
do
to
you
be
set up
involved with
all the
anything
system,
like that?
right? How come Congress isn't out there right now saying we need to get rid of the system that was put into place by the baby eaters? You know, like because they have the power to do this, why aren't they doing it? You know, why is that? Where are all of our people that we've elected into office right now going back and saying, hey, baby eaters, get rid of this stuff right now? Why aren't they doing that?
Because they're baby eaters.
I mean, I hate to say this, wasn't Connie Reguli or Reguli, whatever, however, her signature was on that stuff, and people be following her.
Yeah, well, you know
Just
what? And this is
saying.
what, yeah, but listen, here's the thing, and I say this a lot to people. When Connie was there and she was signing those papers and putting that stuff into play, you have to remember the foster children, the foster kids at home and these homes, well, the foster kids in general, were it was so overrun by children. It was like 800,000 kids were not even in placement yet. They were in, you know, institutions. They were in the offices. They were in all these places.
There's that many
They
people.
had
You know what? They're still like that,
Hold on.
though.
But listen, they had to incentivize this because they had to get those numbers down. So they said, listen, let's give these caseworkers a bonus. Let's get these kids into foster homes. That way we can incentivize. Now, they should have shut that incentivization down when the numbers got down to whatever a reasonable number is. In my opinion, there shouldn't be any reasonable number. There should not be a reasonable number. But they've determined it's like 300 or 400,000, and statistics show that because we always seem to keep a group of about 400,000 kids going in this system every year. You know, like it seems to be that. So somehow, somewhere, they've come up with this number. But in Connie's defense and everybody else that was there, they did that to try to get this overflow of kids into permanency homes. Now they didn't. I would have strongly believed that they didn't think that it would turn into an incentivized program to steal children like it has. I don't think that that's what I want to believe in my whole
Oh,
heart.
I think they
That's
went
not
in with
I
that whole
can't believe
idea.
that. I can't. I
I
have to
think that was the
disagree with
whole
that.
plan.
That was
maybe
the whole
some by
plan.
some, but I just don't want to. I want to give
The
people the
machine
benefit.
runs too well for it not to have been the idea.
I don't know. I mean, we can't say that for a fact, can we? Because we don't know that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem with this. We got to go by what we see and what we have. But what I do know is that these people operate on use it or lose it budgets, which isn't right
Well,
either.
what
So
I
they
do know is they don't try to change any of it. So
right, and that's what I was getting at because they use it or lose it budgets. So with a use it or lose it budget, they have to maintain a certain level. Like they don't get Title IV funds until they meet last year's take, if you will, and then start moving towards new children. So they don't even receive money or their federal backing or any of that stuff until they meet last year's tenure, I
well,
guess.
let's look at the root of that problem when it comes to money. Money ain't even freaking real, dude. Like, so why take our kids for something that's not even real? There's nothing that backs our money. There's nothing that
Because people
backs
are
it.
still
Piece of
fixated
paper.
on it.
The
Because
only
people are
reason it has
still
any
fixated.
value is because we put value in it. If we put value in our kids, maybe that would change.
Right? But they would just steal more kids, right? If you put a number on our kids and valued them, they would steal more kids. It's really you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
I mean, isn't there value on the kids anyways? I mean, let's be real. I do have literally a receipt from the state of New Mexico. One child was $3 million. I've shared that with you
Their
before.
value isn't money. Their value is their energy.
You know?
That's the value of them.
I
Because money is only your energy. Money isn't real until you put your signature on it. You're the what backs the money.
yeah. No,
I mean, we're what backs the money, but if people don't have the knowledge that we have and the understanding that we have,
right,
they don't feel like that.
right.
So at the
No,
end of
because
the
they're
day, it is a
still, they're
money
still
thing.
caught in that system.
Right.
Which is the majority, of. So people are still fixated on that greenback that we have in our pockets. Like that's it. That's to them. That's the money.
That
Their
thing
bank
isn't
accounts are
worth
still
shit.
rolling.
It's an IOU is what it is. The
Right.
more you get, the more trouble you get into, the more bills you got.
If
I mean,
More
let's
money,
be
more
real.
problem.
if the masses of people decided tomorrow that a rock on the road was worth more
Right.
value than a dollar bill,
Absolutely.
then that's what people would want is that rock on the road.
And that's
It
what
wouldn't-
and that's what I thought when Bitcoin came out and all of that stuff years ago. But that's, to my knowledge, that's what that was supposed to be. Was like, okay, I had a janitorial company, like we did that stuff. So 4 Bitcoins for me to come and clean your carpets was 3 chickens to you. So that's what a Bitcoin would have been. It would have been whatever our trade was worth to each other. You know what I mean? Deeming this one Bitcoin thing. And that's the way I thought it was going to be used. Because that's exactly what I
and it only
understood
had
it to be.
and it's nothing tangible, and it only had value because people put value into
Correct.
it.
Correct.
Well, that's almost like speaking words. Words don't have meanings unless you speak into it.
Yeah, Biden and Obama. Yeah, Biden and Obama were pieces of shit. That's just plain and simple.
I mean, all the presidents are really. I mean, you might have one or two good ones in the
No,
what
they're
the
all in the
last
same
47
block, dude.
presidents that we've had,
No,
but
they're all from the same bloodline, dude, and
yeah.
they all know. They know who the next president. There's no voting. That's all a show.
So here is my. I'm going to put this prediction right here, right now, and people are going to call me crazy, but I want to do this. The next president, and hear me out before anybody says anything. The next president of this country is going to be Charlie Kirk. But it's not going to be Charlie Kirk. It'll be like Charlene Kirkland or something like that. Mark my words. The next president of this country is going to be Charlie Kirk. But he will be in a different form. It'll be a different person that we don't know or whatever that comes out. And his name's going to be Charlie. It's going to be the same style.
Like Charlene or something.
Yeah, exactly. Mark my words. I'm telling you right now that's the next president. Because
that's the show they put on for people, man.
Right.
That's
People don't
the
get it.
show.
People don't get it.
I mean, they clone these people.
Look at your $20. Look at your $20. Yeah, your $20 bill, and then look at Jeffrey Epstein. Think that's a coincidence? Nope. Like this is all. That's that's a level that a lot of people, like they don't go to,
They
that.
don't want to listen to
But
that
no,
at
they
all.
think it's foolish and all of that, but in reality, it's not.
Well, that's your fallen. That's the fallen angels.
Correct, correct. But if people don't believe in that stuff, then they don't believe in it, and that's what makes this. Like if people don't realize that this war is more than just kids and money, like this is a um what's the word I'm looking for? I'm sorry, I just had a brain fart.
Yeah.
This is bigger than just money. And this is good versus evil. This is God versus Satan. This is all of that. Like this is like you need your God armor on, and you need to realize it because
This is
listen,
a war
he,
on
he's
consciousness,
coming.
man.
He's coming. The man upstairs is coming, and he is pissed for what we've done to these kids. These are his children, and everybody forgets that. These are not ours. These are his. The man upstairs has given us the gift to recreate or procreate, however you want to say it. Um, and these are not our kids. We've done that for him, and we are treating these kids terribly. We're not protecting them, and he is bullshit. He's coming. He is coming. Believe in me. So if you aren't one with God and you haven't sewed up your oats with that shit, you better now because it's coming, and he is bullshit because of what's happening to these kids. So that's my opinion on that one.
All right, Pastor Darren.
I think people should just be mad because some angry mom's gonna be showing up at some door, dude. That's what I'd be worried about. Is these moms when these moms finally are like realize who the hell they are and the power that they have.
Well,
Well,
when
it's
is
not
it?
even just the moms; it's the fathers too. If the
Yeah,
men would actually stand up and take care of their families the way that they're supposed to be, instead of being, excuse my language again, a pussy, uh, the women wouldn't have to stand up, and that's the problem we're having now.
yep, agreed. The breaking the man has been shoved into the corner as his position in the family and in society. It used to be the man is the man. He goes out, he provides for the woman. The woman stays home.
That's what I'm saying. When mom shows up, dude, because mom takes care of the home, right?
That's right. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why I say mom, because mom's the one that stays with the kids. Like they're.
And I
This is
put I put a lot of
this is
blame
just
on.
how we're built. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? And they've
thank you.
tried to make people think that that way is wrong or there's, like something wrong with it.
But 40
But
years
it's the way
ago,
it's supposed to be.
right, 40
Nothing
years
wrong
ago,
with
it
it.
was understood, and that's what we did. And that's why the families flourished. That's why people were successful. That's why, what, our grandparents were able to leave us things, like we were got what is it called when they leave you money? I'm sorry, brain fart again. You got inheritances.
Inheritance.
None of us that are parents right now are prepared to leave our children inheritances. None of us. None
No,
of
because
us.
nobody knew to get a trust and start a
Right.
trust.
None of us got any
Nobody
money.
knew that.
The system was broken because mom wasn't at home taking care of the kids. Dad wasn't out making his living like he was supposed to. Mom was the one that paid the bills. Mom was the one that did all of this stuff. But instead, the women got in a goddamn hurry and have to go out and get and join the workforce. And they completely crookeded the family center. Like that stuff changed. And now moms weren't paying attention to the kids and the kids were getting sucked up. And then, like mom wasn't at home, she was at work. So the kids were off and they were doing bad things and they were getting involved in the justice system and all of this shit. Like once society got in a damn hurry to give women rights and all that, and I'm not meaning this disrespectfully, but once that happened, the whole center of the family changed.
Well, when they started getting people to separate, families to separate, right? When they started
Yep.
saying, you need your own home, because it wasn't like that. People lived in family homes or on,
Right.
family lands, like with multiple
Yep.
homes, but they were a unit, right? So they had to break us up.
Yep.
Well, I think they did that after World War II when the troops come back and they put up all them little houses and offered them little homes, when they come back from war. I think that's where they really started breaking the family unit up like they have.
Yeah, and then when did society get in a big damn push to kick the son out, the family out after 18? When did that happen?
That's what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right? Because families used to generations, right? Because it takes a village to raise a kid. It takes generations to raise family. To
Yep.
to keep who you are, to keep real to your roots.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And as long as the society is leading, like I think it was when we started to be like, you're an individual, you're an individual, you're an individual. Well, no one ever succeeds by being an individual. They don't. You're only, like let's just say, like him or not, President Trump. President Trump is only strong because of the people that he selected to be behind him. Like you can't be an individual and amount to anything. What is one person going to do in this movement? I don't care what you say. Nothing. Not a damn thing. One person. We need all of us. And everybody's so much into this individualism thing
Well,
that one is this, that it's screwed us.
That's to keep control over us because we're all connected, right? So if
Yep.
you heal, I heal. If you're not healing, I'm not healing. See the problem there?
Right.
So because we are all connected, so it's going to take we all need to start healing for everybody to heal, or we're not going to heal because that shit sticks into your DNA, dude. Like you keep that for generations. Like this, what they're doing is generational. This isn't, hey, they just fucked my life up. No, this is generational. Like this is in the blood now. Like until I can figure out how to make it right, like fix.
I don't even know how you could now. Like we've pretty much destroyed. We have destroyed in this country anyway. We have destroyed. Like who out of everybody?
Like,
I'm not even gonna say it's just in this
Who is
country. It's on all countries.
Well,
You're not hearing it from other countries. I know for a fact. Like I've talked to people like from Canada. I've talked to people from Australia. I've talked to people from the United Kingdom. Like they're all dealing with it.
It is because it's a system, a one world order. There's already been one world government running behind the government. Like, and this is why you see it in all these different countries.
But look at the amount. Like our next generation is really in a lot of trouble. There will be no more family because there's no aunts and uncles out there. There's no aunts or uncles and cousins and all of this. Like,
well, it's time for a reset, and that's what they do. They take people's children, and when they take society's children from them, society disassociates. Like the whole society will disassociate, and it only takes one generation to forget who you are. Boom, and now they've changed our history and got us all fucked up again.
Yep, and that's exactly what's happening right now.
And
that's like how they did the Cabbage Patch Kids, and
that was the orphan trains. All of that, incubators and the 1904 World Fair here in St. Louis. Those were Cabbage Patch Kids, like incubator kids. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's what's happening now. That's where we're here right now. I don't think we're going to see it. I don't think we're going to see the full reset.
Use them.
Like, I don't think we're going to see the full reset. Like, meaning us. The next generation will, though, and then the history will be gone. Like they already did it with the Civil War. Like what is the Civil War to the next generation?
For you to forget, just one generation, and that's not long. That ain't shit, dude. For you to forget your root, who you are, where you come from. This is why we have so much. Part of why we have so much problems in the world is because we, as humans, we don't know who the fuck we are.
Yeah.
We don't.
We know more than our children.
Throw that shit out the window because you don't know shit, because everything you've been taught has been a lie. Everything.
Okay, but so they say, and I agree with you on that, but so they say it's been a lie. Maybe that's just part of the change. Maybe we're just changing this up now to the Nephilim, to the aliens, to all of this stuff. Maybe this stuff wasn't real. You know what I mean? Maybe this is, but see what I'm saying though? They're instilling it in us now. Like they are forcing this down like this, because damn well, and I know damn well that an alien's coming from the sky or something at some point now. In the next 5 to 10 years, some sort of something's coming out of this sky to prove either what they're saying has been right or whatever. Like
that's just come out of the sky, or
that's gonna be the Project Bluebeam, Darren. That's Project Bluebeam.
But so you say the sky, like outer space is up, but who's saying outer space is outer?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Could be the water.
It doesn't even mean up.
Right. No, I don't even believe that space is real. So
look, I'm telling you right now, I don't even think I'm a human being. Like I honestly think I'm an avatar. Honestly, and if you really want to think about it, okay, if we talk in biblical terms, they say that we have a soul within our body, right?
Yeah.
Does that gonna make this avatar?
Well,
no, you are a soul in a body. You're not a body. You're not a body with a soul.
Do you remember
Well,
the
I'm
movie?
saying that we've got souls within our body. Our breath. Our breath is our soul.
You
Does
are
that
the
not make us
soul.
our body an avatar?
Yeah, that's all it is. A meat suit.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, a meat
something to
suit.
think
That
about.
sounds so gross. A
It's
meat
just your
suit.
meat suit,
Jesus
man.
Christ. Ugh. A meat suit.
That's all it is,
That's
God,
the meat suit.
right? Because we don't die.
as outside as within. There it is, right there. Yep.
As above, so below.
Right?
Yeah.
But it isn't even duality. It's one. It's like the serpent eating this its tail. That right? There is no good or evil. It's just necessity. There just is.
Well, I mean, there's good.
Because there's no empty space. Because that empty space, what you think is empty space, that's not empty space. That's consciousness, right?
Yeah.
And that's what makes all this.
Well, it's just, and that goes back to the drugs thing, like we were talking about earlier. The reason that we don't do drugs, they don't let us do drugs, is because we can't comprehend what's in that empty space. I know that's a lot deeper than what other people are, but they're not letting us get onto that frequency level that if we got to, we wouldn't be like this. Like we are supposed to be living in the best of the worlds right now. This is supposed to be it for us.
This is a playground people come to.
Yeah.
They fucked it up and made it a jail.
Yep. That's it. I mean, this
What
is
are we
supposed to be the
doing? We're
best world
collecting the
ever.
gold for the what is it? The Anunnakis for their planet. That's what they say, anyways. Prison.
Yep. They've jailed us. They figured out how to keep us down. And that's the big lie. And that's the big secret. And that's the big everything is
And
that.
I think the big secret is that we're just consciousness, we're energy, and that if we just tune to the right vibration,
Yeah.
all this changes.
It does.
All we have to do
They're
is
scared of.
tune to the right tune. You know what I mean?
Yep, that's what they're scared of. I mean, think about how excited people that don't believe in the vibration shit. Oh yeah, well, have you ever ridden in a car that competed for stereos, or they have a big ass bass in the back of their car, and it's like, brrr, and it just makes that intensity in your body just rattle? Or go to a concert, feel how amazing you feel after you leave a concert, like how fresh you feel and all that, because they're reaching frequencies that you don't ever
Energy,
get on a given.
they harness all that shit, dude.
Right.
That's why I sit there, like, sometimes when I go to bed at night, if I can't go to sleep, I'll go find a frequency channel and sit there and go to sleep to a frequency
yeah.
channel.
Get that pineal gland cleaned out.
Yeah.
Yep, you got to have that pineal, or whatever it is. But yeah, well, you know what? I think this was a great show. I think this is really, really good first show, and I think that we need to make sure that we do this every Friday night, just like we said.
I mean, we were
Friday?
supposed to have a meeting. I don't know what happened to the meeting. We had all four of us together, and James didn't pop in.
No, but I
he
think
had
that this
things
is
he
a
was
great.
dealing with.
I think that this should be the, where we go with everything, and everything is fine, and that's good. But I think that we need to have this show every. I bet you a lot of people enjoyed listening to us tonight. They didn't know what we were going to be or what it was about, but I think that we started off a little slow, but I think that we all have a good little rap together, and I think that this is a good little group.
Yeah, what he said.
That's right, Darren. That's what the pastor said.
Yeah, Pastor Darren. But we just hit our hour mark, guys. So I've got nothing left to say for tonight. What about you? What about you, Miss Dottie?
I always got something to say, but I'm good.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right, Candace, you got anything to say? Last words?
Absolutely not.
What do you mean? Well, I got them then. Make sure that you guys come back next week at 10 o'clock for this show. I don't know if we have a name for it yet or not, but we're going to be back next week, 10 o'clock. So make sure you all tune in, because what's the name of the group?
Sacred Lavisa.
Sacred Lavisa. We'll be
Oh,
here.
it means loud warrior, not woman.
Okay.
God.
See, I thought that was something to it.
All right, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you all next Friday night, 10 o'clock.
I don't want to forget you, so I won't rest. This is my calling, this is God's test. I wonder why he chose this road for me. It's hard to think this is my destiny. But God
Hey, Sam,
is the
we missed you.
creator,
We'll be coming on to your show.
surely knows.
brother.
So please explain the journey, let's go. You must have faith, that's all. God will not let you fall. For in the end there's a lesson. So keep the faith, keep on pressing. I think about you 100 times a day. It's no way to keep the pain away. I'm so scared of forgetting your smile. So I look at pictures of my child. It breaks my heart we lost her so young. We missed all the tender times, can't be redone. Please God, stop the pain, this is no fun. I know that God has the plan. I don't understand who I am. I do know I have the faith to pray to God from any place. Please God, make this pain end. It's a nightmare that should have never been. My faith in you is guiding my way. Excuse me, God, I have to say, give me back my baby, I'm not playing around. She's a piece of my life. I'll do anything for you now.
They said don't fight the system. They said stay quiet.
They were wrong. Lock in. We are exposing what so many have failed to. We are going to show you what bar attorneys have hidden from all of us. Hundreds of thousands of children and twice that of parents have been lied to and walked down the road of termination. It's the death penalty. We're all of the protesters, the ones who fight for the rights of prisoners, dogs, illegal immigrants. Why aren't you coming to the aid of our children and families? Right here in America, every day a child per minute is kidnapped.
And no one cares. We fight alone until today. CPS punishers mount up. Here comes the CPS Punisher.
Anonymous tip, another lie from one of them. No warrant, no proof, just a badge and a grin. Stealing kids like trophies, thinking they'll win. Mama crying on the porch, daddy in the cage. System wrote the script, but the CPS Punisher just flipped the page. The educator they banned, I see every violation, every forged line, every ex-part hearing, every stolen time. One tap of the app and the truth ignites. Welcome to the CPS Punisher, now we can fight.
CPS and the courts have lied to us all.
The courts will not disgrace the family. CPS Punisher,
Here to avoid the chains and expose the game.
CPS Punisher,
The educator they never wanted you to find.
Punisher.
One tap and their empire cracks. We rise, we take our kids back. The app is called the CPS Punisher. I'm the cape in the shadows, the skull in the night, the binder full of secrets, the weapons you all need. Ab initio, watch me void that lie. Fourth Amendment armor, watch the tyrants cry. Falsified drug test gone in a flash. I see Tevio, warrior, due process king. Every parent's hero when the hotline rings. I call it justice. Download the truth, now the system busts us. From the courtroom to the streets, hear the battle cry. The CPS punishers arrive. Kiss your bar asses goodbye. They tried to silence us. Now we're the loudest voice in the room.
CPS Punisher,
Here to avoid the chains and expose the game.
CPS Punisher,
The educator they never wanted you to find.
Punisher,
The children never leave again. Families rise, we never look back. We now use the CPS Punisher. This ain't revenge. This is reunification. This ain't rage. This is resurrection. Open the app. Step into the fight. You ready?
CPS Punisher!
The app you need when they took your kid.
CPS Punisher!
The truth they hid, now the truth gets lit.
Punisher!
Download the power, take back the throne.
Punisher!
You're never alone. CPS Punisher. The educator they never wanted you to find. Void complete. Family restored. The bar is finished. The Constitution will prevail. Judges do what's right. Treason is your penalty.
CPS Punisher!
Here comes the CPS Punisher.